for joining in today. We have the numbers out, and there's a bit of a month-on-month moderation in terms of the flows that are coming in. We are down to just under 14,000 crores in September. That's the mutual fund equity inflows coming in versus 20,000 crores. So, Pavitra, I was checking the constituents. I mean, the mid and small cap story is still intact, right? I'm just looking at mid cap funds. I think 2,000 crores. Small cap funds have raked up about 2,600 odd crores. So I think that narrative that large cap funds are not getting the money. There's a little bit of an outflow from large caps. They're not getting the money. Mid and small caps, that's where the focus is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last month was a very, very large number. We also had an NFO component of around 7,500 crores. Not all equity. Of course, that was, including debt as well. But this is not a bad figure. If you look at the months before that, we had around 7,500. Before that, in June, it was around 8,200. So this 13,000 odd crores is pretty good in terms of the inflow that has come through. Like Surbhi mentioned, there is a bit of an outflow that we're seeing in the large cap scheme. So around 110 crores has moved out of the large cap space. Mid and small caps continue to do well. I'm seeing a pretty large outflow in the debt space. So I'm going to try and bring those figures up for you. But there seems to be a big... we will get to those debt numbers in just a bit, but we also have Swarup Mohanty joining us now to really take us through these numbers. Swarup, around 13,000 crores is where the number has come through this time. I know last month was very, very high at 20,000 crores, but even this is pretty solid. If I'm looking at, say, the last 5-6 months, it does stand out as quite a good number in terms of the inflow. Swarup, can you hear me?
Okay, I think he's not on the line. We'll repatch that line. On debt, Pavitra, you were saying I can see a large outflow out of liquid funds, but then liquid as a category, it's just the nature of the category. Even it tends to be very, very volatile. And we are seeing a 74,000 crores of an outflow from that part of it. Ultra short-term funds, they've also seen about 5,000 crores going out. And then there's been about a 9,100 crore outflow from money market funds. So that's on the debt side where things have cooled off a little bit. Let's see.
Another theme, Surbhi, which really stands out is this entire sectoral and thematic funds pocket. It's been picking up so well. Last month, what we had was around 4,800 crores. If you compare to the month before that, it was, more than double. We had around 1,400 crores in July. In August, it went up to 4,800 crores. It is a little lower this time, but still over 3,000 crores in terms of what we've seen for the sectoral and thematic funds. So there are these, individual pockets which seem to be doing very well. And I guess, like we were pointing out, there's been a lot of NFOs also in some of these sectoral and thematic funds as AMCs try to get into those.
The other trend that really caught my eye over here, we know that the mutual fund industry is really pushing for multi-asset funds, right? Because that's where the tax advantage is. You can still get equity taxation. And look at the inflows over here. Multi-asset allocation funds have drawn in about 6,300 odd crores. I'm sure a lot of it is NFO money because a lot of AMCs, if they don't have this product in their portfolio, they're launching those products. I think we do have Swarup with us. Swarup, hi. So just under 14,000 crores for equities overall. Mid caps, small cap funds still getting in the money and multi-asset. That's where the action is.
Yeah, Surbhi, thank you so much for having me on the show. Well, you said it right. It looks like blatant return chasing. It's very contradictory because in a year where large caps are outperforming the benchmark, people are redeeming or shunning large caps. And in a year where mid and small are not actually outperforming benchmarks, people are just looking at last 1 year return and not seeing the merit of the large cap funds. And that's what happens. People buy typically last 1 year and shun last 1 year underperformance, last 1 year underperformance. And if people were to reverse it, I think a lot of sanity would come to people's portfolios. But yeah, multi-assets seem to be the flavor of the... Yeah,
Swarup, sorry, allow me to come in over there. You sound a little exasperated. I can understand from the perspective of someone who's, managing this money, who's running the AMC. So is there a solution? What are you telling your fund managers? Because they are being swamped with all this money in mid-cap and small-cap funds. No takers for large caps. How do you see this whole situation play out?
So we are staying up with small-cap mayhem. We don't have a small-cap fund. We'll look at it some other time. But the mid-cap flows are decent, and we're quite happy with our mid-cap flows. But I'm a little skeptical of the way people are treating large caps. The opportunity in large cap still remains, and we've been highlighting this post-COVID consistently, but it's falling to deaf ears is is my submission. But yeah, I mean, what you said about multi-asset is pretty correct. That seemed to be the flavor of the season. There was a BAF time, and now it's the multi-asset time.
We remember that BAF time around the COVID period when that category had just shot through the roof. So we were asking what Swarup is telling investors. He's opened up SIP investments into the emerging blue chip fund, right? So the large and mid-cap category, which was much requested. So that's what Swarup is telling his investors. But Swarup, the other pocket I want to ask you about is the sectoral and thematic funds that we were talking about. There has been a large inflow this time as well, but around 16,000 crores if this is, NFO money. Do you think that new funds in this category is what is likely to drive a lot of the flows? Because a lot of AMCs have been tapping into these individual, IT funds or pharma funds, defense, all of that. So do you think this is going to be the route that AMCs continue to take to bring in the cash?
Uh-oh.
I think I'm not getting any language.
I think Swarup and Pavitra's connect is kind of off today. We'll see if we can get
girls, is there an element that September is lower than August because of advance tax payments? People do have to make large advance tax payments, and therefore they may choose to stop that SIP momentarily, but they have to make that lump sum.
That perhaps could explain why the liquid fund category has seen a massive outflow, because corporates have to pay advance tax. So a lot of the money that you're parked in liquid funds, that needs to move out and gets used for all that advance tax outgo. But I think on the equity side, the point that Pavitra is making, it was these big NFOs which were bumping up the equity number.
And what's the NFO number for this month?
It's coming at over 7,000 crores, and the sectoral funds that we were talking about, because there's so much, and there is that rule, right? You can't have more than a certain number of funds in a category. So they are looking at these new ways to sort of expand their portfolio. Now, every fund house will want to have an IT fund or a pharma fund or all of that. So just for sectoral and thematic funds, it's coming at around 1630.
So, Pavitra, since you track all this action so closely, in the last, say, month or 2 months, which have been the hallmark NFOs which have drawn in the most money? Or, are there any big ones that are open right now?
I'll have to check the figures on that, but I think the ones which really caught everyone's eye was that defense fund when it came out.
That was the HDFC fund.
Yeah, that was the HDFC defense fund, and it did very well, by the way. I mean, of course, the stocks had run up a lot, but they've run up a lot after that as well. So that definitely stands out to me too. Swarup, if you can hear me now, I'm going to try once more, and maybe third time's the charm. We were talking about the sectoral and thematic funds and how a lot of these fund houses are really looking at these smaller pockets to try and bring in money. There's been an NFO component of around 1,600 crores this time as well. Do you think this pocket will continue to do very well?
See, Pavitra, we've had chats with the channel on sectoral and thematic in the past. Now, when you look at any construction of portfolio, there's a core part, which is the market investing. The satellite part can have very good spaces for thematics, and thematics only grow over a period of time. Look at consumption, look at IT over a period of time. Now look at healthcare over the last 4 or 5 years. All have created wealth with portfolios substantially better in balance sheets than, say, a small cap portfolio. So one should not just close your investing through market caps. Thematics can be an excellent ploy or a strategy to build the satellite part of the portfolio. And these are long-term plays. I mean, consumption is another 10-year play. India is a consumption story. IT, thanks to global moment, are available at some great prices. You just talked about the run of the defense. So there are lovely opportunities for great plays in the satellite portfolio through thematics. And I hope this starts playing out for better constructive portfolio.
So, before we let you go, there's just one thing we haven't touched upon, that's passives. The total number, the total inflow number this time is about 4,700 crores. That includes index funds, gold ETFs as well, other ETFs. In general, what's happening on the passive side, and what is the anticipation? More fund launches? What do you see ahead next couple of months?
See, I have always said that due to the categorization of funds now, ideation on the active side is practically done. On the passive side is where you will see plethora of ideas. So people should not be surprised by the launch of passive funds in the next 2, 3, 5 years. It will only continue because the ideation is unlimited there. Now, to put things in perspective, 5 years ago, the industry proportion of folios of passives was just 2.5%. Today, it is almost 14.5%. And I'm talking about folios, not AUM, because the AUM has a large composition of the government EPFO money. So there is a beginning of participation in the market through passives, and that will only grow. And it will consistently grow because one is the ease of the transaction. I mean, most of the transaction can be done on the phone nowadays. And secondly, the ideation will only give better ideas for investors. So we are in a fantastic position in India where we have enough managers on the active side capable of benchmark beating, portfolios. At the same time, the ideation opportunities on the passive give investors a far better play. So both will grow. I mean, we probably at the threshold of the growth of passive investing is my opinion.
Swarup, great chat. Thank you very much for joining in. Need to get into a break. We'll come back with more on the markets. We'll also tell you what you can expect from TCS this quarter when it reports numbers.